fold, but I want to point a couple things out there when I was taking a time lapse. This is a heat shield. It helps protect since there's two heads, there's two separate water manifolds, allow for expansion and contraction. And so there's a hose to join them to. And so you really need to have a good heat shield in there to protect the hose. This one's starting to show some, it's not terrible, but it's got a little bit of wear on it. I'll replace that. The hose, I highly recommend getting that from your AGCO dealer. Or you can probably, maybe you can source neoprene hose, but that's what they replace it with. It can handle the heat a lot better than regular radiator hose. Just holds up a lot better. Well worth the extra money to get the right hose. Same thing with this hose up here. It doesn't get quite as much heat, but it's still, they get you the neoprene instead of just the regular rubber. But when the water goes through the water pump, it goes back to the heat exchanger for the engine oil cooler. Then it goes into the block to lubricate everything. I'm sorry, the oil goes into the block. The coolant goes into the block as well, different passages. So, and eventually it comes up through the heads and it comes up through each of these here, which then feeds it up into the thermostat. You got temperature sensor here. And then this other one is the idiot light buzzer. If it gets too hot, it buzzes at you to let you know you should pay attention to your gauges. Thermostat is inside this housing. It's a different style from a lot of them, but there is a seal in there that thermostat goes in and out of. And if that seal is bad, your thermostat might be fine, but it lets water bypass, and then you can get hot water going back into the block, or in cold weather. A lot of the water bypasses and goes up through the radiator and it'll run cold. And so a lot of times it's not necessarily the thermostat, just the seal that the thermostat rides in. The way the block held coolant on this when I was draining it, I would say my seal is pretty good on my thermostat. And it's not too tough to get to. Just got these two bolts here that bolt it to the water pump. Take those out. Loosen up the hose clamps here and then you can just slide the whole thermostat housing out and take it down, put it on your bench, and change the thermostat out. So I'm going to get this water jacket off from here. And give it a little pry, just like that. And that. Break the seal on the gaskets. Come on. All right. Well, you see how it goes. I run out of hands. Maybe if I put it like so. I keep the bolts with it for now. Set it out of the way, but it'll have gaskets to clean up on the bottom side of each port. Get them cleaned up, and so it seals up good when I put it back together. But I just got to get this manifold off. I got to get the exhaust and intake manifolds off before I take it to the machine shop so they can deck the bottom of the head, get that cleaned up and check it out. Check those valves out, especially number 6 where the damage was. Make sure they're not bent or anything. Might be just a good idea to replace them. I guess we'll see what they find. I could take the valves out here, but we'll let them do it. Then you can keep track where they're at and everything a lot easier. So I'll get started on pulling the manifolds off. They've got to come off together. It's just the way they kind of hook together or whatever. It usually takes some heat on the exhaust manifold nuts. These are in really good shape. I don't work this tractor like I used to, but boy, a lot of heat and these nuts would rust, and boy, it was always a bear to do one of these because there wasn't enough nut to hardly grab onto, or wasn't a nut shape anymore, and heat it up good and get it with a pair of vice grips and get it off from there. But these are in good shape. All right, starting to separate. I got 2 bolts that can't come out all the way until it's either rotated or out farther. All right, now she should come. Well, I'm not seeing any damage. No end play. Turns nice and smooth. I think I got lucky here. I'm guessing you can see it all right. Let me. I'm already getting dirt on it with my gloves. Well, I'll take lucky over being good any day. Well, I will probably blow things out just to make sure there ain't any pieces in there waiting to get caught, and set this back in there just to give it a place to hold. Keep something from happening to the blade fins if they're in there. I won't tighten it down because I'm gonna have to re-aim it once I get it on the tractor again. But at least a little more good news. Okay, I've pulled the valves here on number 6 just to kind of take a look at them. I've got checking in my parts, and I've got brand new ones. So just to be on the safe side, since I've already got them, I'm going to replace them. But I still thought I'd just pull them out real quick and take a peek at them. They don't act like they're bent. The surfaces look good. If anything went out somehow or another, it messing things up, and no sign of maybe a little sign of impact there, but like I said, I already have brand new valves, so why even question it? But I thought I was just gonna double check to make sure the keepers are the same. And those of you that wonder how valves stay on, there's a groove right there, and then you got these things, 2 pieces. They got a raised spot in the middle, and they engage that. Now, of course, before you have that on, you normally have this thing on, the springs underneath. And this is cone shaped, and the outside of those 2 things are cone shaped. So this is here, this is here, and that's there. Oops, especially when it's right side up. So the spring's holding that baby up. It the cone shape keeps pushing the two halves together, which force them into that groove, which keeps it engaged. When the rocker arm pushes down, it pushes down on the valve stem and not that, so the spring keeps pushing up against this, and that keeps it all tight. So there are no screws or nothing to tighten, just those keepers in there, and the pressure of the spring holding them in place, and the taper of the hole. And then when I take them out, I've got a tool that comes around to the back side of the head, and it pushes on the valve and then pushes down on the spring so the valve can't move, compresses the spring. In this case, double springs. These engines have an inner and outer spring. There's a valve seal. I'm going to get new ones of those to put on there. These are looking pretty tired. But compresses the spring, pulls this doohickey down, then you can get these off, then you slowly let it up, and it all slides off the end, and then you can pull the valve out. So I'm going to put the old ones back in there, just so it'd be a good way to hold the spring and everything in place. And I'll take the new ones with me when I take them to the machine shop, and he can install them, do the grinding and all that good stuff. I'm sure probably gonna do a little surfacing on there, just very minor blemishes where stuff hit. I'm amazed it didn't hit the valves. This one has a spring off it, so it spins easy. But it spins nice and true. If it was bent, you would want to push in and out or wobble a little. Seems pretty good. So anyways, yep, he'll probably mill a little off the surface here, just clean that up, and probably do the same amount off the other head so they're even. And grind the valves, put the seals on for me, and get them all ready to go, get them cleaned up, and be one more thing done and heading back towards together. Here's where things stand at this point. Just took the head in yesterday and the rod from the damaged hole to have everything checked out. Got the new valves, as I said earlier. It's going to be the end of the week before he even gets a chance to look at it, so it's probably going to be a week or two before I get that back. This whole project's kind of made me think, or troubled. I got two different lines of thought. I hate to throw good money away when all their 5 holes all look so good. I've been cleaning up some around the carbon around the top, trying to see if there's any cracks in the liners and stuff like that. Been cleaning up the head surface there, so we'll get a good seal with the head gasket. So far, everything's been looking good. But then I got thinking, shoot, it'd probably cost me more to put tires on this tractor than what it'd cost to put a set of pistons and sleeves in here. And I actually have had for about a year, since last year, about a year now, a set of high compression pistons and sleeves like the military used. Everybody says that makes a whole new engine out of them. Start even better than they did before. More power, all that good stuff. Done some swapping with my good friend Blaine, and I'd kind of been saving them for another project. And when I did some calling around looking for parts, I didn't think you could get the high compressions anymore, but you can. Hercules Propulsion has them in stock. So I've decided that since I can get more down the road, the other project, I can buy them then. I'm going to put these in the 2155. Put them in this engine. They're sitting here anyway, so I guess they're paid for. Do her upright. It should start a lot better. Not that it started bad before, but from what I understand, won't even hardly need the glow plug anymore, the manifold preheater, which I'm exploring avenues on that to get something that doesn't have a ceramic porcelain piece in it to go bad. So that's kind of where things stand at. she's going to go back together. She's going to go back in. No, there is not going to be an 8.3 Cummins swap. I have nothing against the Cummins. My combine has an 8.3 in it. It's a great engine. But I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater over one cylinder. I like my original engine. And I'm going to keep my tractor original. Well, maybe a little modification here or there. But so that's the update. Appreciate everybody watching, commenting. I will keep you updated on it as it goes. So it's, like I say, with machine shop work getting done and everything, it's going to be a little bit before it's all back together, just because he's busy. And I got some other projects I can work on in the meantime. But I appreciate everybody watching and tuning in, and we'll keep you updated on this. And I've got other things to keep you entertained in the meantime. So thanks for tuning in.